big game. Obviously, Gonzaga is Gonzaga and one of the best programs in the country. It's great to be able to get them to come to Birmingham and play us. You know, we like to get quality opponents for that game in Birmingham. I think this quality opponent is you're going to find. Obviously, we went up there last year and played a pretty good game. So, you know, they're going to come down here looking to play a good game. I think they're one of two teams in the country to play 5 quad 1 games, so they played really strong teams. They've had a great schedule. We've had a tough schedule. They probably even had a tougher schedule. So we're going to have to play well. Last year's game, we played pretty well up there. So, you know, we're going to have to obviously do a great job on Timme. It's not going to be a one-man deal. You know, Charles did a fairly good job at times last year on him, but, you know, we did struggle to guard him at times too. And, you know, I think Timme's what's he averaging, 20 points a game. He's top 20 in the country in scoring. So he's good. And they base a lot of their offense around him, but they got 3 really good shooters go around him. They've got a good system. Coach Few does a great job. So it's going to be a good test for us, and our guys are going to have to be ready to go Saturday.
You kind of touched on it, but the matchup with you guys, strengths, weaknesses. What do you know? How do you assess that matchup with Gonzaga?
Yeah, so I think that their strength is Drew Timme, okay, but they've also added shooting around him. You know, like Hickman, Bolton, Strother can all make threes at a high clip. I mean, they're all 2 of them are over 40%, and one's mid 30s. So they've got shooting to go with them. I think we're a little deeper, although that gets, you know, without Namari and Dom still not being here, that it's not as big a strength as maybe what it would have been before Namari went out. You know, I don't want to say one's got a better front court, back court, because they got Timme's obviously like National Player of the Year candidate. So, you know, you'd probably give them the nod in the front court, but I like our depth and versatility and what we have on both sides of the ball in the front court. You know, we may not have a scorer at Timme's level in the front court, but we got a good defensive front court that'll get tested by Timme. I do think we got a little bit more depth in the back court. You know, we need them all to play well. So, you know, if they're not all playing well, then the depth doesn't mean as much because, you know, you play the guys that are playing well. So, but I mean, we're a little bit better defensive team according to the numbers, and they're a little better offensive team. I think they're one of the best, if not the best, offensive team in the country. So, you know, we've got our work cut out on our defensive end for sure in this one.
You kind of highlighted the schedule they've played, and you talked about Memphis, how you think they're probably a better team than they were last year. How do you think Gonzaga compares to last year's team? I know they only lost 4 games, but
they're a little different. They don't have as many options. You know, they had Chet last year, so they don't have as many options in their front court. You know, a lot more is going through Timme. A lot went through him last year, but it seems like even more is going through him this year. You know, I don't want to say they're better or worse because I'm not in their program to know what's going on a day-to-day basis. I mean, what are they ranked right now? So what were they when we played them last year? 3. So, and they had just dropped from 1 to 3, if I remember right. So we, you know, they're ranked a little lower than they were last year, but I don't know that they're a worse team. I mean, they played a tougher schedule, and it may have just taken them a little longer to get their stuff together. We played great up there too. So I definitely think Memphis is a better team. Gonzaga was really good last year, so it'd be hard to say they're better than last year, but I'm certainly not saying they're worse.
You know, when you've been studying film on Timme, I mean, you just said that, you know, it seems like the ball's kind of working through him more. Is there something that you've noticed, especially this year, that he's gotten better at that's going to be a challenge coming in on Saturday?
You know what? He's good. He's just I don't think that there's one particular area where all of a sudden he was bad. Now he's great or good at. I think just overall he's gotten a little older, more experienced, more veteran. I mean, he's a good passer. He's really good playing in the pocket. He's good in the post. He's good handling the ball on the perimeter. I mean, there's, you know, he can shoot. He can score inside. He can pass. He's not he's not limited really in any kind of aspect. I mean, he's kind of does a little bit of everything, kind of at that, interior spot for him. I mean, there's not huge holes in his game anywhere. He rebounds the ball well. You could look, he averages almost 3 turnovers a game, but they're asking him to do a lot. If you're the primary scorer, they run their offense through you, you're going to turn the ball over occasionally. So I don't even want to say that's necessarily a weakness of his. He's solid. He's really good.
Yeah, I think you talked after the game that a little bit roles reversed, that you guys came there last year and they were the higher ranked team and kind of trying to upset them, and now reverse in that role. I mean, what's the message to the team about how you guys handle this game and just that maturity?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the fact that when you get ranked like we do and like we are right now, you go to places. We've been there before 2 years ago. People storm the court when they beat you, and it's a big deal. I don't want to put a ton of emphasis on any of that, to be honest with you. I mean, our guys know we've got a bullseye on their back. They know it. But it's more like, let's get down and figure out what we have to do in this particular game. What's the scouting report? What do we have to do to win this game? What didn't we do well against Memphis that we need to fix? And there was plenty we didn't do well against Memphis. What do we got to get better at from the previous game, and what do we got to do to win this game? So spent a decent amount of time on trying to fix some stuff we didn't do well against Memphis today in practice. Spent some of the time, and there's a lot of carryover too. I mean, Memphis hurt us in transition. Gonzaga is a great transition team. If our transition D doesn't get better from what it did against Memphis, we're not going to be able to beat Gonzaga. So, that point of emphasis, there's certain carryover items from, one game to the next that you try to emphasize, which we did. But it's more, let's focus in on this game right here, and let's just take care of this game. I thought we got a little too, outside focused, all that other areas last year, what this means. Not like all that stuff will take care of itself. We win the next game in front of us and just get better from game to game.
Yeah, kind of going off Nick's question, if somebody had told you that Alabama was favored over Gonzaga about 5 or 6 years ago, they probably would have called you crazy. But assuming that Alabama probably will be favored in Birmingham on Saturday, what does that mean for this program and where it's at right now?
Yeah, we've come a long ways in 3.5 years. I think it really speaks to the players and, how hard they play, how together they've bought in, the culture that they've built. We tell the guys all the time, I've been coaching over 20 years. The players' time is limited as a player, particularly in college basketball. It's your team. We're going to make out of this what you guys make out of it, and whatever kind of culture you guys want to build. Now, we're obviously, as coaches, guiding it. But if the players don't buy in, doesn't matter. So I really think, and look at a guy like Quinterly, who's been here the whole time we've been here. Now, he sat out the first year, but he was a huge piece in the SEC championship year, was a tournament MVP. Was here last year, played really well at times, but kind of, was coming back. What's he doing to help build the culture here? He's been really good so far. His play's been a little up and down, but people got to remember he wasn't even predicted to be back until about now. We were hoping to get him back about now. So everything, he worked really hard to come back early. Let's give him a little bit of a pass because he came back early and is playing before he probably should have to help the team. And he's still getting his feet under him. But what culture did he build? Look at Brandon Miller, McDonald's All-American, highly touted, playing as good as any freshman in the country right now. If he's not the team guy that he is and doesn't have the camaraderie and chemistry with the team, we're not as good as we are. You look at Sears and just different guys that have brought in. I just think you got to look at the players and how they're building the culture and what that is. But shoot, the program's come a long ways. I think you're right. Probably 5 years ago, everybody would have. Drew Timme took an official visit here, if I remember right, before I got here, and he chose to go to Gonzaga. I wasn't involved in that recruitment, but he chose not to come here and went there. Hopefully we can get him twice. Maybe he made the wrong decision. I think he made a pretty good decision. He's done pretty well at Gonzaga. Don't take that the wrong way.
Hey, Coach, I just wanted to ask you about the importance of playing in Birmingham, the state's flagship university, playing in the biggest city, and in the state. And I know you recruit nationally, internationally, but what does this do for recruiting playing in Birmingham?
I think it helps. There's players out of Birmingham that we're trying to get. There's players across the state. We're making it a goal to try to get the best players in Alabama to come to the University of Alabama. I think playing that game in Birmingham every year helps. And, previous years we played up in Huntsville, played down in Mobile this year. We're trying to get where we're playing different areas around the state, different city, different years. We can't play in all the major cities every year, but from year to year, I think we can go play in different places. But we're going to try to play in Birmingham every year for a lot of different reasons. It's our students are on break. Great time to go up to Birmingham and get a lot of the fans that are in Birmingham, donors, boosters up in that area, a game to watch up there. Like you said, recruiting up that way, and just in general, like Birmingham's it's the city in Alabama, and we're coming up there to get a game. It's sold out from what they tell me. I think the first time in 30 years that a basketball game sold out at that arena since '92, I believe, in the SEC tournament. So that's a good sign for us. If we can keep selling them out, incentivize us playing up there. Hopefully it's sold out with about 99.99% Alabama fans, because when we were up there in Seattle, that place was about 99.99% Gonzaga fans when we were in there. So I'm hoping they get the same road environment that we had up in Seattle.
You talked about correcting some of those Memphis mistakes. It seems like this practice was a little intense. Just what was the emphasis, and was there a specific emphasis or intensity in this practice?
Yeah, no, we got after a little bit today. We first off, sorry for being late today. Video went way longer than we usually do. We gave them yesterday off, so we had to clean up all the Memphis stuff, and there was a lot to clean up. We were not good on either side of the ball for large stretches of the game. Turnovers late in the game. They scored 13 points in the last 50-some seconds. We didn't close the game well. Memphis, and look, a lot of credit to Memphis. They exposed some stuff that we didn't do well. Our transition D was terrible. Staying in front of the ball. Our guards got to do a better job. Our bigs weren't good in ball screens. We can go on and on. There's a whole list of things we weren't very good at. Offense struggled for a long time. So, we tried to clean a lot of that up on video. Went a little longer than we planned. Then we had to get to the Gonzaga video, show their personnel, what they're trying to do offensively, and then in practice, it was supposed to be a little shorter practice, and it just sometimes things don't get done at the time you want to get it done because it's not quite right, so you got to go a little longer, and that's what happened. We played a kind of an end of game situation deal at the end that we got to get better at closing games. It's a good chance this game ends up being a tight game. They're good, we're good. It's going to be really hard for either team to pull away from the other one. There's a chance it could go either way based on turnovers, shooting percentage, whatever. But in all likelihood, it's probably going to be close, and we need to learn how to win some close games, and we haven't done a very good job closing games here lately.
Just want to ask about Jaden. He obviously made his first start in the last game. Have you seen him kind of respond to that, and how big is he going to be with Namari out?
Yeah, he's like a settling influence. He plays really hard. He's got a high IQ. He's a great two-way player. Brings a lot of winning traits to the team. He makes tough plays. He puts his nose in there. He gets tough rebounds. Steps up to the challenge. You looked, he could guard Foreman. We sometimes have him guard a 4 because he's tough, physical. He guards point guards. When he's in, the ball gets moving a little better. We found Brandon, kind of got Brandon going there in the second half against Memphis. Found Derek. He just creates plays for other people. So he's one of those guys that you can kind of move, or you can play him with whoever. Playing with Sears, going to get Sears more open shots. Playing with JQ, he's going to get JQ more open shots. You can play JQ off the ball a little bit that way, kind of like we did with Herb, and JQ played off the ball. You can, I thought today in practice he did a great job finding our bigs a little more. We made a big point of it. I thought we missed our bigs a lot. against Memphis, he was one of them that really made a point of emphasis on finding them. So, I don't know what the starting lineup's going to keep going, and we've never made it a huge point of emphasis to start the 5 best players per se. We're going to start a group that gives us a great chance to get a good start to the game, and then also gives us a chance to get a rotation we want to see to be able to use our bench and our depth. So we felt like he was a good defender for Davis, and he was for a good part of the game. And then everybody, himself included, did not do a great job with Davis there in the last part of the game. So, but I thought he did a pretty good job there for a while. At the beginning he got a couple buckets, and he kind of settled in and did a better job. So I think he gives us kind of a settling, makes a lot of winning plays, just kind of can get the team organized and run well.
Yeah, Gonzaga's played in a lot of big games over the years. Since 2018, they're 6-1 against AP top 5 teams in the regular season. Kind of what are the keys for your team to avoid becoming the 7th on that list?
That's a good stat. I didn't know that. I would like to know how many of the times they're 6-1 they were actually ranked ahead of the top 5 team they were playing, because they've been number 1 a lot too. So, my guess is maybe they weren't ranked ahead of them all the time, but to answer the question, what do we have to do to make sure we got to execute the game plan? Like, we're going to have to do a great job on Timme. We can't let their shooters get off from 3. Our transition defense has to be a whole lot better than it was against Memphis. Then on our offensive end, like, our turnovers have to come down. Like, we can't continue to turn the ball over, almost 20 plus times a game and give our offense any kind of a shot of beating quality teams like this. When you're turning the ball over as much as we are, just makes it really hard on your defense and hard on the possessions. I mean, you got to shoot the ball at a high percent and everything else to be that great. So there's a lot we got to do to win this game. It's not going to be an easy one. We scheduled tough opponents for a reason. We got exposed a little bit against Memphis. Let's see if we can get better and fix it and be a little better against Gonzaga. And 6-1 is a good number. That's since when? 2018. So what's that, the last 5 years? Duke beat him in Vegas. Other than that, nobody. It's good. What's our record since then? You don't know? My guess is it's not the same, but I don't know. All right. Good seeing you guys. See you up in Birmingham Saturday.